Hi there, this is Penelope and this is topic 14, class 2, where we're looking at scatter diagrams and correlation and regression. Now very often we're interested in exploring the relationships that may exist between two variables, and the first thing to do is to have a look at what they look like on some form of graph. For example, here we've got what we call a scatter diagram, showing the association between rainfall on the horizontal and wheat crop on the vertical. And you kind of already know that probably there is a relationship between the amount of rain and the crop. For example, if there was absolutely no rain, you might not get any crop, and if there was too much rain, you also might not get any crop either. But generally, in between those two extremes, we could say, yes, there is some sort of relationship in there. And what we could say is we could kind of put these points sort of a line, maybe a bit like that, whoops. And we'd say that that line there is roughly representing the data that we've got. Now, it doesn't have to be a straight line. It doesn't have to be a straight line going left to right. The data may show that we have this kind of relationship, or a not a very close relationship, or absolutely no relationship at all. So there are various things that we can look at. It doesn't even need to be a straight line. Sometimes a relationship is like that or like that. So there's all sorts of ways that the data can be related. Now, one way of measuring it is to use this correlation coefficient. Wow, what a formula. But as always, we're not going to use the formula. We're going to use the stats function on our calculator to find that. So we're not going to use the formula, we're going to use the calculator. But the things that we need to know are, if the value that we find R is equal to 0, then there's no correlation. If the R value is between 0 and 1, then we'd say there's a positive correlation. And if it's between -1 and 0, we'd say there's a negative correlation. The closer it is to the end points, the stronger the relationship, and the closer it is to 0, the weaker the relationship. Then we will use this to try and predict the value of one of the variables given the other. So we would work out a relationship like that, and then we would say find y if x equals whatever. Now again, to find x is given to you, but to find b and a are really nasty formulas again. But we're not. We're going to use the calculator to find those. Here's an example that you can do. Now, these are the instructions for the FSMS82, which most of you don't have. You have the +2 version, in which case you would use the instructions for your own calculator. Those ones are there if you need them for that particular one. So if we do that, we would find that the relationship was y equals 0.9459 times x, and that the R value was 0.417, so a sort of moderate positive relationship. And then what we would do is we would substitute in, say, a value x equals 9 to try and use our line to predict the value when x is 24.7. So not that page as reference, and then it may well be in any given year test 13 or test 14.